Okay. Welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner. Classics / non-classics. This is episode number 332, and something I haven't done for a little while. A triple shot. This is triple shot number 15. Okay? First up is Uncanny X-Men, Volume 1, Survival of the Fittest, containing issues number 601 to 605. I decided to do the original numbering because that is what these issues are. I mean, yeah, it says Uncanny X-Men 2016. Technically, that's Volume 4, number 1 through 5, but it is 601 to 605. The storyline is quite bizarre, to say the least. Apparently, these group of Inhumans, known as Dark Riders, are killing off mutant healers. There's very few who actually appear in the storyline. There's Elixir, who is a sort of a cult favorite character, I think. He's a creation of Chris Yost and Craig Kyle during their run for New X-Men Academy X. He gets killed off in issue 2, which probably be a lot of people very unhappy with Colin Bunn when he did that, so he undid that with the annual. Though, apparently, the character Trace, who's a creation of Brian Michael Bendis, he apparently gets spared because he was created by the previous writer. So that's probably the reason why Bunn decided to save him. As for Zorn, despite the fact this Zorn is a creation of Chuck Austin, the original Zorn was a creation of Grant Morrison. And he doesn't want to be saved. He just basically, as long as no one bothers him, he's perfectly fine where he is. And of course, we also have, you can tell by the look at the cover, we have artwork by the Tracer, Greg Land. Yes, the guy who does not have to draw a face unless he's smiling, or basically doing very strange poses for no apparent reason. That's the biggest problem with this storyline, is the artwork. The background stuff is great. It's just how he draws the characters is really atrociously bad. Like, let me show you an example of how bad the Tracer is. Look at this. You have Monette smiling for no reason. Oh look, a smiling girl. Or you have Sabretooth, who's smiling. Though he kind of has a reason for that because he's a kind of cuddly one this time. But Monette, picking up a guy, should not be freaking smiling at all. Yeah, that's the problem with Land. He loves to have his characters smile for really no reason. And also, one of the other things he's obsessed with, and nobody has pointed this out at all, aside from the whole tracing thing, is his love of close-ups. Yes. Look, here's a close-up of Monette. A close-up Magneto. Yeah, he loves doing the close-ups thing. And it's a common thing with him. Now, what do I think of the actual costumes they're wearing? Well, Sabretooth is wearing the costume he started wearing thanks to Access. His mind, he's still inverted. Unlike Iron Man, who is not inverted anymore, Sabretooth still is for some reason. Okay. His costume is simply the color scheme that Wolverine is known for using over years, blue and gold. Okay. Psylocke is simply, it's like they took her costume she's noteworthy wearing the ninja style costume, and they pretty much, if you want to see a full body shot of her, and this is like, okay, you're like, that is her costume. Yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, for some reason, let's give her let's have her costume cover up her legs. Yeah, because some people are so offensive if a woman shows off her leg. I would say the only woman who shows off more skin than she does is Mystique, and she does show up in here. And Phantomex, who pretty much wears the same costume every book he appears in. Monette, it's the same color scheme as Magneto's. I'll get to Magneto's in a minute. As for Angel, it's his classic Archangel costume, and plus he's a drone. And this is, by the way, this is present-day Angel, not the past Angel who appears in the pages of all new X-Men. This is the present-day one who's a freaking drone. Yes. The guy does nothing unless he's controlled by his ex-girlfriend Psylocke. Now, what about Magneto? I actually like his costume. I've heard no complaints about the costume. It definitely does feel like a Magneto costume. yeah, the shoulder things are kind of unnecessary, but it does look great on him. I mean, it kind of feels like classic Magneto in a way, though for some reason people are. It's like Land was very a fan of giving him these strange looking lines on the costume, which is something that basically Chris Bachalo did with him in the previous volume of the series, though his costume was white. Though when it came to his own ongoing series, Colin Bunn's artist switched him to have his costume be black. A black costume with white outline. Basically, yeah, it's that same costume. Yeah, it's the same costume that he wore. It's the same type of costume he wore during the Brian Michael Bendis run, except they just changed colors. The colors for his costume here are blue with red. Despite the fact his traditional costume is purple with red. Yep. Oh, and also, he had sort of the underwear outside of his costume. They got rid of them. That's fine. I thought I was okay for the 60s, but nowadays, completely necessary. It's not really a big problem with the costumes. It's just the problem with Greg Land being on the artwork. Did he have to come back? Heck no. And Colin Bunn definitely is the writer for this. Yeah, basically when Joshua Heller, yeah, his name is Elixir because he's got gold skin. You want to see what he looks like in here? Well, I don't think that, as far as I can tell, I don't think that Land does a bad job of drawing him, per se. Let's see, where are you? There you are. Yeah, here he is. That's Elixir. He doesn't look too bad. Yeah. But... oh, look. Here's a pose I've seen hundreds of times when it comes to Land. Yeah, the guy copies a lot. That's the biggest problem with his artwork. That's probably the reason why... I don't know if this title is actually good selling right now. I mean, some people do kind of like the story. The story is fine. It's just the artwork is just so bad. Because Land, why did Moore put it back in the book? Who the heck knows? Also, oh, and the book basically is called Uncanny X-Men Superior. Yeah, look at that. It says right there on the frickin' spine, Uncanny X-Men Superior Survival of the Fittest. Basically, this is volume 1. Now, my guess is the reason why they put the name Superior on there is because they already had a trade series with Uncanny X-Men Volume 1. They've done this several times now. So they put the name Superior on there because Marvel is a fan of the #1 thing. The story I give an 8. The artwork I give a 1. Yes, the trade I give this an 8.5 out of 10. The only reason why I took the half point off is because of the Greg Land artwork. Yep. Alright. Next up is Transformers Sins of the Wreckers. And this contains the entire 5-issue miniseries written and drawn by Nick Rushi. Now, simply put, what are the Wreckers when it comes to the Transformers? They are the Black Ops team for the Autobots. That's essentially what they are, the Black Ops team. And their leader is Prowl. And their lineup is, well, this is them right here. Yeah, the story itself is actually pretty interesting. Prowl gets captured, so the team goes to rescue him. And plus also, Tarantulas. Now, those of you who are familiar with the show Beast Wars, Tarantulas was a member of the Predacons. And it was revealed on the show that he's a descendant of Unicron. Because for some reason IDW is not allowed to use them, because of Hasbro has deemed basically Unicron off limits to the Transformers line. That's why you don't see him in the damn books. As for Tarantulas, he's a very good villain. He's written really well in here. Here's some more artwork. The artwork in here is actually really, really good. They do list off the actual members of the Wreckers in here. Let's see. You got Prowl, RC, Cup, Gauze, Stakeout, Birdie, Roadblock, Hubcap. Where's Tarantulas, definitely. Let's see. And yeah, that's simply it. The artwork is a similar style to that of the... It's kind of slightly similar to the style of the Transformers animated series. The one where it's copies from Japanese anime. That one. It's similar, but it's not a carbon copy. It's only similar to it a little bit. But the artwork is fine. The story is actually really great, and I give this a 9 out of 10. It's good. But if you go on Wikipedia, and this is generally pretty accurate, if you go on Wikipedia, for Transformers IDW Publishing, it does have on the page the chronological order of every single Transformers title currently and has been published by IDW. The only book that's not included with that chronological book is basically Regeneration 1, because it's a continuation of the Marvel comic book. Okay. Next up is Transformers Volume 9, containing issues 46 to 49 of Transformers Volume 2. The series was originally called simply Transformers Robot in Disguise, but because the Robots in Disguise TV show, people think, oh, it's called Robots in Disguise. Transformers Robots in Disguise. Maybe the comic takes place in the continuity of that show. So, in order to avoid confusion, and this one makes sense, so they just dropped the name Robots in Disguise. It still has the same numbering, but it's simply the same series. They just dropped the name Robots in Disguise, which is fine. Now, the lineup for this series is quite interesting. The lineup is basically it's a team led by Optimus Prime, and it just basically it's a very interesting book, and the book ends basically with the whole thing with issue 50, when Optimus, and this is basically somewhat very recent. So basically, it's just basically a lot of talking. Yes, the story is called Conquerors. And now the biggest criticism I've heard for the Transformers comic books in the past, I'd say 6 years, is the fact that the writers had to put way too much dialogue in here. I don't have a problem with it like everybody else. I've read everything related to this particular comic book, and it's just typical Autobots versus Decepticons, but not to the grand scale as they once before. Basically, it's small little battles here and there. It's kind of like it's kind of like a mini war in a way, but it's fought on Earth and doesn't involve a lot of destruction. The issues in here are really good, and the thing ends with Optimus Prime, with Galvatron thinking he won, and then Optimus Prime says, "Nope, you did not win because I annexed Earth into the Cybertronian galaxy of worlds," and pretty much leads into the All Hail Optimus Prime storyline, which was only about, I think it was about 6 issues, I believe it was. Yes, 6 issues. What happens in here and the following storyline is one of the things that leads into the Revolution crossover. This is great. 9 out of 10. Highly recommend it. But I also recommend picking up the other Transformers books, which in here, in the very first thing you open up in here, it has the first 8 volumes of this particular trade series. More Meets the Eye, which is 8 volumes when Straight came out. Excuse me. Transformers Windblade, Transformers Distant Stars, which is another Windblade thing. Transformers the IDW Collection, Volumes 1 through 8. Transformers the IDW Collection Phase 2, 1 through 3. Transformers Classics, 1 through 8. And Transformers Classics UK 1 through 5. That's the Transformers, the comic that's published by Mario UK. So, I'm glad the fact they threw these in here, and they're on here on this very page. You open up, and that's where it is. And this is what the spines look like when you see them on the shelves. You have Barnes & Noble Books, and it has this red look to it. And it's a great looking spine. If you're curious what the Sinister Record spine looks like, it looks like this. Yeah, it's a black spine, and it's done really well. Oh, I forgot to mention who's the creative team of this. The writer for this is John Barber, which, by the way, He wrote it up until the final issue and is still writing the translation. He's writing Optimus Prime comic, which is a continuation of this very comic right here. The artwork is done by Sarah Patry Darcher and Andrew Griffith, who does issue 49. Yeah, but and also, let's show some artwork. The artwork in here is actually pretty good, to say the least. Yes. Yeah. 9 out of 10. I recommend it, but I also recommend picking up the other trades from IDW, which there's a good chunk of this. With addition to this, there's probably about 20, maybe 25 trades to pick up, but it's a lot of really good stuff. Okay? So, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be a double shot. Next episode, episode 333. And if I can get this to work properly. Yeah. 333 and double shot 262. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.